Hi everyone, welcome you all. So in the today's video, I'm going to show you how can we handle date pickers in Playwright. So basically the date picker is a customized element. So that means the date picker contains multiple elements. It is customized. So that's the reason we cannot see same kind of a design in every web page or in every web application. So if the date picker UI keeps changing, so we need to change our automation code accordingly. So the same code, the same script we cannot use for every kind of a date picker. So depends upon the design of the date picker, we need to write our script accordingly. Okay. Now I'll show you one sample date picker. How can we handle using Playwright? And for that, I'm taking this application. Let me open my application. And if I look at this testautomationpractice.com, and if I scroll down, there is an input field like this, right? So if I click on this, the date picker will display. So this we can handle in two different ways. One is we can directly fill the text here, and we can directly use fill by providing the text directly. And sometimes if it is not allowed, then we can handle the through date picker. And if I look at this date picker and there is a month and year is displayed, and if we want to navigate to the future years and month, we have to keep clicking on this next button. And then if you want to go back to the previous years and previous months, then we have to click on the another previous arrow mark. And here you can see different type of dates. And here there is another type of date picker. Here there is a drop down. So we can directly select the year from the drop down, and then or else you can just navigate through multiple dates and months. So the design will be different, one application to another application. But most of the times, if I take any application, one single application, throughout that application, the date picker design will be the same. So if you automated one date picker for one application, the same code you can repeat or you can reuse the same code for all kinds of date pickers which are there in the same application. Okay. So let us see how can we handle this date picker. And this is an example date picker UI I'm taking. And first of all, let me show you how we can handle this by using fill method directly. And then we will see how can we handle by writing the logic. Now go back to the VS Code editor. And here I already created one spec file, datepicker.spec.js. And inside this, I have imported Playwright test module, test and expect functions from Playwright test module. And then I created one test module. So here I provided the title of the test, which is date picker. Now, so page is a fixture which we have to use. Through this, we can access all the methods from Playwright. So the first and most important thing is we need to, first of all, define the variables like which month and which year or which date you want to select. Okay, that we can define, or else you can directly first open the page. Await page dot go to, and here we have to specify the URL of application. So I'm just passing the URL. And once you provided this URL, so you can directly get this element. And it seems very similar to input box, right? If I just go back, there is an input tag is here, and get this element by using this ID. And we can directly fill the data in that particular element. So this is a straightforward. I can say await page dot fill and provide this element. Because this is the ID, I have to use hash, this CSS, and what is the value we want to provide in this. And we can directly pass the date. Okay, for example, here I'm taking some date. So this is the format. Okay, first we need to provide the month, then date, and then year. So whichever you want, you can just select. So by default, when I click on this date picker, right, it will show you the current month, current year, current date. So this is the format actually. So first of all, month, then date, and then year. So this is the format, and whichever format it is accepting, the same format you have to pass the data. Suppose I want to pass some future year, let's say 2024, and let's say third month, March month, and the date is, let's say 15. I can just provide like this. So this will directly go and fill that value in the date picker. So after that, I will wait for some time here to see the value which is entered in the box or not. I can simply say wait page dot wait for timeout. And let's wait for 3 seconds. Okay. Now let us try to execute the script and see how it is working. Go to terminal, and here I'm running this command npx playwright test, and here This is the name of the spec file we need to provide. And my spec file name is datepicker. datepicker.spec.js, and the project is Chromium. On Chromium browser, I want to run my test and in the header mode. Okay, now press enter. Okay, now it is started launching my page, and now just observe in the date picker field, it is entered that value. So 03/15/2024. So this is a straightforward, and if the date picker is allowed to provide the date directly, you can directly provide by using fill. And simply we can specify the locator and the value. Okay, sometimes if it is not allowed to provide by using fill, then we have to write a logic. Okay, so now let me show you how to handle the date picker element. So the first step before selecting the date from the date picker, we should define which year, which month, and which date you want to select. So for that, I'm taking three different variables. Const year, I want to select which year you want to select, that you can put here. Let's say I want to select 2024 or 2023, whatever. And then I want to select const, I will create one more variable called month, and I want to select something called March. Then I'll create one more variable called const date, on which date you want to select. Let's say I want to select 20th. So these three details, first we need to define which year, which month, which date you want to select. Okay. So now we need to think about the logic. How can we handle this? And first of all, we need to first click on this element. So once you click on this element, it will open the date picker element. First, we need to perform click action on this. Let me close everything. Yeah. So once you click on it, it will open the date picker. Right. So let me try to click on this element. So we already captured this element with this ID. So I'm going to click on this element. Await page.click. And here we can directly pass this element locator. And we need to perform the click action, right? This is the click action. And the same element, we want to perform the click action. So this will open this particular statement will opens calendar or date picker. Okay. Now once it is open, then we can do further activities. So once the calendar is open, what we need to do is we need to first capture this month and year. Okay. And then we need to compare with our expected month and year, which year and which month we want to select. We need to compare with them because we already defined those three variables in the beginning itself. So whatever year, month we are expecting, we need to compare this with our expected month, actual month and year, which is there in the calendar. Okay. If it is matching, then we have to go and directly select the date. If it is not matching, then what we need to do is we need to click on this arrow mark. And then again, we will get another month and year. Again, we have to compare with our expected. Not matching, then again, click on the next. Or not matching again, click on the next. So we need to keep clicking on this button, next button, till we get expected month and year in the calendar. Okay. So when we will get this, we don't know exactly, right? We don't know the condition actually. So how many times we have to click on this element to get our expected month and year? We don't know. We cannot predict that. So here we have to use something called while loop. Okay. In the while loop, we can repeat the while loop till we get the expected month and year. So as soon as you get expected month and year matching, then you will exit from the loop. Then we will go and select the data. Okay. Now let me write a looping statement here. While, and making this every time true. So based on the condition, I will break the loop later. So while true, and here, what is the first task is we need to capture the current month and year, whichever is displayed on the date picker, we need to capture this. So to capture these values, so let's try to inspect these elements. And you can see there is a class attribute is there, right? So you can just class month is for this month, and year also there is a class attribute. Let me inspect this here. And these two are the two different elements. So let me try to get this class attribute and then capture the text from that element. Okay, so I can say await page dot locator and dot class name and dot, we have a method called text content. So this will return the text of the element. And what is the text is current year. So I'm storing that in another variable called current year. Okay, now I can make it as a constant variable. Fine. And similarly, we need to write one more variable, current month. Okay, so we can capture the locator for the current month also. Let's take this month. And for that also I have a class attribute. So let me try to use this class to get that element. Await page dot locator and in the quotes colon or dot and class. And from this also we need to extract a text content. Fine. So now we capture the year and the month, these two values. So once we capture, we need to compare these two values with our expected month and year, which we want to select from the calendar. Okay. So for that, we need to write one if condition. You can say if, so this particular current year, which is equal to year. Okay. That you are expected. And this current month. Okay. This is a current month, which is equal to our expected month. Current month equal to our expected month. Okay, if both are equal, then what we need to do is we need to break the loop. Because how many times we need to click on this element, we need to get the exact month and year, whichever we are expecting. Till that time, we have to keep clicking on this button. But if already month and year is available, we don't need to click, right? So the next action is what? If they are not matching, then we need to click on this arrow button. So let's inspect this element, arrow, and you can just look at here. This is an element. And there is a title attribute. So I'm just taking this title attribute to get this element, next element. And after coming out of this loop, if the current year and expected year, current month and expected month is matching, then we no need to go and click on the next button from the calendar. If not matching, we need to go to the next level, next month and year. So here we need to get this await page.locator, await page.locator, and just specify the title. So this is a attribute, right? So I'm just providing the CSS. This is the attribute of the element. Page.locator. And when you want to perform the click action on this, say I can say dot click. So if this current year and current month is matching with our expected, the loop will automatically break. If not matching, then you need to click on the next button here. So how many times it will go and click till we get the expected month and year displayed on the calendar control. So this will go and click on the next button. So once this loop is completed, the values will be matched. So how many times it will go and click? So till we get expected month and year. Okay. So let us test this code till here, whatever we have written. So for that, what we will do is I will just specify 2024 March, right? So these are the only two things we have considered so far. So once the year and month is decided, then we can go and select the date field. Okay, now here we perform the click action on that element. And while loop is always true, we are getting the current year, then current month, and both are equal, then only break the loop. If both are not equal, and you can keep clicking on the next button. So this is the logic. Okay, now let us go and save it. And after this, after coming out of this loop, I already put this wait statement so that we can clearly see whether it is selected or not. Okay, now let me execute one more time. So we are just selected month and year from the date picker. Now let us see how it is going to work. Yes, now you can see it is stopped here as soon as the March 24 is got displayed. So that's the reason here. So March 2024 we have mentioned. So it is get stopped there itself and break the loop. So now the next thing is once the while loop is got exited, by the time year and month is got selected. Now the next thing is what? Date. To select the date from this date picker, we have two different approaches. So we can capture all the dates into array. Then we can repeat one by one, and whichever is matching, we can go and click on this. And other than this, we can directly write one XPath locator. And through this, we can directly go and select the date from this date picker. Okay. So first of all, let me show you how can we read the dates and how can we select the date by using arrays concept here. So first thing is, as soon as we selected date and year and month is got selected, then we need to go and capture all the dates. So to capture all these dates, we need to write one common locator, which will able to match with all the elements in the calendar control. Okay. So if you try to inspect one of this element in this, you can see inside the TD, there is a class, and this is the class attribute is there, right? So if I go back to selector hub and you can just check how many elements are there with this class attribute. See, 31 elements are there. Even if you go back to the next any month or any year, the same XPath is matching with all the elements which are there inside the calendar. So this will return multiple elements. That means multiple dates. Every date field is an element. So I'm trying to use this locator to capture all the dates from the calendar. And when you have to capture the date, once the month and year is selected from the while loop. Now come down, and here we want to capture all the dates from the calendar. So we can simply say await page dot, and here we got multiple elements in the form of array. So we can use $. Okay, because we want to get all the elements in the form of array so that we can repeat, we can iterate each and every element, and whichever is matching with the date, we can capture and click on the data. So $, and here we can pass the locator, whatever we capture. And instead of specifying only the class, if you want to specify, you can just specify XPath like anchor tag is there. And here, this is a class actually @ class equal to, you can say like this, state default. Okay, and then you need to close this bracket. This is a bracket you have to close. And after the double quotation. So double quotation inside this, it is not allowed. So I can just put single quotation inside. Okay, and that is a statement. So this will return all the dates into a variable. We'll create one more variable called const dates. Now we got all the date elements inside the variable. Now we need to iterate one by one, and whichever the date is matching with my expected date, we have to go and click on that. So now let's write one looping statement here. Simply I can say for, and dates, from all the dates, I want to read each individual date. So I'm just creating one const variable, const dt of all the dates. And then inside this, we take this dt element. This is a representing one particular date element. So that we need to capture. If await dt dot text content. So we need to extract the text content of the dt particular date. So dt dot text content, and that is equal to whatever date we provided above. This is the date we are expecting, right? If both are matching, then we need to click on the date. So await dt dot click. We need to perform the click action. So as soon as you found the date, await dt dot click, and then immediately break the loop. Immediately break it. As soon as you found the date here, go and click on it and then break the loop. Okay. And if it is not matching, then what happens? It will go and get another date, and the same condition will repeat multiple times. So this is the one way we can do it. Date selection using loop. We capture all the dates here in the array format, and then we are reading each and every date into this variable. And from this date variable, we are extracting the text content. If it is matching with our date, then go and click on it and then break the loop. If it is not matching, then it will get another date and again repeat the same thing. So this is the one approach which we use to select a particular date from the calendar. And if I look at here, I'm saying 2024, March and 20th, I want to select. Now save the file and execute one more time. See now, 30 is representing March 2024. Okay, perfectly, it is got selected. So let me increase this wait time so that we can clearly see the output. 5,000, increasing 5,000, and then execute one more time. Okay, now you can just look at here. It will navigate till March. You can see 03 representing March, 20th is a date, 2024 is a year. Exactly, it is got selected. So this is the one approach. And there is a direct approach by writing XPath. We can do it. Suppose I don't want to write any looping statement, and directly I want to select the date from the date picker. So this is a direct selection, date selection without loop. I don't want to take all the elements and just I'm directly go and hit that particular date. So simply what you can do is we need to write proper XPath, and we need to pass the text into the XPath. We need to parameterize some value into the XPath. Okay. So let me show you how can we do it. First of all, any date, just try to select any one of the date. Okay. And if I look at this, for the date, there is a class attribute. Okay. There is a class attribute. So let us try to write an XPath here, //a. And here I'm trying to take class attribute equal to, and here I'm passing this class like this. Okay, this is basically what an XPath, which is matching with all the date elements. 31 elements are there. In this, again, I want to filter based on the text. So followed by write another XPath by using text function. Text equal to, here you can pass the text. Suppose I want to select 15. I can say pass 15 here. Then 15 is got selected. Suppose I want to select 20. 20 is got selected. And let's say similarly 20, or I can say 30. 30 is got selected. So by just passing this text value, which is actually date, and it will automatically go and get that element, and we can perform the action. So this is the same thing we have to use here. Directly we can write. So I can say await page dot click. We need to perform the click action on that, right? So click, and here we have to provide that locator. Okay, so normally how we'll provide in the double quotation or single quotation, we'll provide like this. So this is the actual XPath. But in this, we need to parameterize this value. So whatever value we have defined at the beginning, date value, this date value we have to parameterize here instead of hard coding the value. Okay, so in the JavaScript, we have a different notation to parameterize the value. So instead of 30, what I can do is put this bracket and use that variable name called date. And before this, use one $sign and date. Okay, this is the syntax. And instead of putting these double quotations, you have to use something called single quote like this. So this is a symbol you can find in the keyboard. In the tilde, you can see tilde button. Tilde, right? In the same button, you can find this symbol. So we have to specify this. Now only this particular date field will be extracted from the variable which we have defined it earlier. This is one single statement. We'll go and click on the date field. Sorry, not this one, this one. This is a single statement. We'll go and directly click on the particular date field. Instead of writing this looping statement, you can directly do this. Okay. So let us try to execute and see. This time I'm trying to change the values. Let's say 2024. And I can say April and 15 or 15. 2024 April 15 I'm selected. Save and then go back and execute. Okay, just observe here. Yeah, navigated, you can see 04 is representing April 15th, 2024 is got selected. So with the single statement, we can achieve this without writing any looping statement. By writing single statement, we can directly go and select the date. Okay, and same thing we can repeat for the previous years also. Suppose if I go back to the date calendar, if I want to go back to the previous years, instead of clicking on the next button, we have to click on the another button here. So if I inspect this button, and this is the title is what previous. So what we can do is, if you want to select the previous year, previous month, and so on, let's say 2022, I want to select something called March and 25th. So this is our previous year, month and date. So if you want to select the previous year, month and date, simply what you can do, same logic, capture the month and year and compare. If both are equal, then break it and select the date. If both are not equal, then go back and click on the previous button. So instead of clicking on next button, we have to click on page dot, or you can directly say click, or you can say locator. So multiple notations which we have. So here you can just specify that element. So this is actually next element. Sorry, not this one. So we need to capture that element. So what is the title? Title attribute is there. So for that, I can say previous. like this, and then dot click. So this is for previous button. If you want to select previous month and previous year, previous date, you can go and click on this arrow mark. Okay, now when I select this, then go and execute. So currently I'm taking 2022 March 25, so previous year. Go back and execute. Okay, now you can see March 25, 2022 is got selected from the date picker. Right, so like this, we can simply write the logic for the date picker. So this is the same logic, may not work for every kind of date picker element because that's a customized user defined element. So design will be different. So accordingly, we have to write our own script. But once you automated this one date picker from one application, so throughout that application, the same kind of a design, most of the times it will follow. Suppose there is an application, you have 5 to 10 pages are there in your application, you can find different date fields. In every place, you can find the same kind of a design. You don't see multiple design most of the time. So if you automate the date picker one time for one application, you can reuse it for multiple date pickers. Okay. So this is how we can simply handle date picker element in Playwright. Okay. So that's all for this video. In the next video, we will see another concept. Thanks for watching.